I have 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lucy, will you call the roll?
Ginger Shank.
Here.
Deanna Wires. Here. Sarah James. Here. Frankie Schwartz.
Here.
Jeff Snyder.
Here.
Rich Barton.
Here.
And Carolyn Sprague. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to amend or adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Carolyn.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda is adopted. Call your attention to the board norms real quickly. And that will bring us to recognitions.
Yes.
Ready?
Almost.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, should I
Alright.
talk for a minute?
No, it's my own fault. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Okay, yes, thanks. We have with us Mr. Jim Sharp here as the Director of Emergency, Warren County Emergency Management, and Mr. Sharp has been nothing but outstanding in his service there. We couldn't, there have been several events over the course of time, and some events we just helped plan for. So we very much appreciate the leadership from the Warren County Emergency Management Office and everything that Mr. Sharp brings to that, and very much appreciative of everything he does, and the wonderful partnership we have between the Emergency Management Office and the school district. So thank you so much for your leadership and everything you do for us.
And we have a certificate for you. Hand it to you. I think we're getting pictures. Thank
That's
you, Jim.
unnecessary. Thank you very much.
All right. I have to do this. I have to get a picture of this every month.
Did you get the picture?
Did
Did you get the picture?
That's what you got, Alexis.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to add to that, Dr. K, that this last week we went to the school board convention in Kansas City, Mr. Sharp. We went to the school board convention this last week and just listening to all the schools around the state and how a lot of places don't have what we have here in the Warren County R3 School District. And it is much appreciated how well our groups work together, and that's because of your leadership as well as Dr. K's and everybody that's involved in that. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. We appreciate you.
Lucy, do we have any public comments? Okay. So we will move on to superintendent reports, and the first one is summer school.
Yes, we
I
have.
think that means you're up.
Dr. Stanek is here to give us our first report.
Sorry.
Good evening. First, I'd like to start off with an overview of the 2023 summer school program. Last summer, we offered kindergarten through 8th grade a district-created curriculum in the areas of math, science, ELA, art, music, PE, and technology. And then 9th through 12th grade, we offered credit recovery, high school PE for credit, high school health, personal finance, and pre-Missouri options at the Alpha Academy. Looking at taking an overview of our summer school finances, in 2023, we brought a revenue in of $627,814. Supplies, we spent $3,571. We offered gift cards for students that had outstanding attendance for summer school. They can miss up to 3 days and still earn a gift card. We spent $45,817.75, and then staffing costs of $392,702. With being on the positive side, we made $185,721. Looking at 2022, the revenue, I'll let you look at that, but we were in the negative $83,000 for 2022. Summer school enrollment, we had 908 students enrolled K through 12, and our average daily attendance was 90.1, up from 69.8 the prior year.
Awesome.
And then also our summer enrichment camps, they were very similar between 2023 and 2022. We had 116 students enrolled this past summer and 119 the summer before, so pretty even. And also the enrollment by camp, we offered elementary STEM, PE, art, robotics. Middle school fine arts was offered all 3 weeks. Every other camp was offered just 1 week, and then the students could take one different camp each week. But fine arts was, they presented a play, so they were in there the full 3 weeks. Middle school technology, we offered 2 out of the 3 weeks based on enrollment. Middle school STEM was offered 2 of the 3 weeks, and middle school summer safety. So the first week, you'll notice we had 18 students. That was our hunter safety. That seems to be a big hit with the kiddos. We had 18 enrolled, and it was great to see the Missouri Department of Conservation come in. So they did, the first 3 days was all the book work and the background, and then on the 4th day, the Department of Conservation came in, gave their overview, brought in a presentation, and then the kids were able to test to earn their license. For 2024, our proposed goals, we want to increase learning opportunities for students during summer school. We want to continue to increase student enrollment and average daily attendance during summer school, which then would continue to increase enrollment for our summer school. So what we're proposing is kindergarten through 4th grade would be housed at Daniel Boone Elementary, 5th through 8th grade at Blackhawk Middle School, 9th through 12th grade would be at the high school and Alpha Academy, based on what the students need for credit recovery and those type of things. And the dates would be June 10th through July 11th. That's a Monday through Thursday. I know that's a little bit different, but that's what we've done in the past. Monday through Thursday, and then off on Fridays during summer school. And then no school on June 19th due to the Juneteenth holiday, and no school on July 4th for Independence Day. And then offerings would be the same as what we offered last year for elementary, K through 8. Math, ELA, science, music, PE, and technology and art. High school, we would still offer 9th through 12th grade credit recovery, PE, health, personal finance. New this year, what we'd like to try to add is high school foundations of art, which is the students would be able to earn their fine arts credit that they would need in order for graduation. And it would be a semester class, so it would be the 9 days. So they would have 2 options. They could do semester 1 or semester 2. And then pre-Missouri options, again, at the Alpha Academy. I would also like to propose again, having the gift cards again that we offered it last year. $100 would be up to 1 day missed. They can still earn $100. $75 for up to 2 days, and $50 for up to 3 days. And then summer enrichment camps would be held after summer school, so July 15th through August 1st. We would like to have those at Rebecca Boone Elementary. And for elementary, we would offer STEM, PE, studio art, robotics, and then something new that we'd like to try is a kindergarten readiness, kind of a kickoff to kindergarten, because not all of those kindergartners want to come the full 18 days. So we would offer 1 week, and it would be a 4-day, just a half day, to kind of get their feet wet in kindergarten. And then middle school, STEM, summer safety. So the first week would be the hunter safety, and then we were looking at kitchen safety, and then internet technology safety for the 3rd week. Art enrichment, and then physical education, which would be something new offering for middle school. So that was some of the feedback that we heard, that they wanted to offer PE because the elementary offered PE. They're like, we want to get in there too. So that seemed to be high interest for the students, so I'd like to try it this year and see. Questions do you have?
So all the revenue comes from the attendance, basically, right?
Correct.
So that's what I thought. For summer school, all of that revenue was based on the attendance.
Based on the attendance.
And comes
Based-
from the state,
Yes,
correct?
based on the average daily attendance that they
So,
have.
so it's
Yep.
pretty clear that giving the gift cards made a big difference, at least this time. So, yeah, that's good to know.
Right, Dr. Sandy put together a wonderful summer school program, and the programming, I think, has been just fabulous. I think doing it ourselves, remember years ago, we stopped
Right.
outsourcing it, and kind of bringing the gift cards back made a big impact, I think, in summer school. And just so everyone's aware, revenue doesn't come in at like one check.
Right.
It's just now part of our state payment throughout the year. So it just gets put in the formula for state funding, and that's just each month we get that payment. So once it's calculated, and so that's how that money comes in.
Yeah, I think that the half-day kindergarten sounds like a great entry for some people. Like you said, some people might not want to do the whole 18 days. They're already like bemoaning them leaving in August. And so, but 4 mornings with a little free lunch at the end might be a more comfortable, soft entry.
Maybe it was even talked about possibly, I've heard of a boohoo breakfast for the parents on the first day. Where they drop their kiddos off, and as the kids may be having a little tearful down the hall, then the parents might be tearful down the other way. So we have heard of that. So that's kind of, in the works of what we're thinking.
I don't resemble that at all. My mom couldn't
Yeah.
go to school, boy. That's cool though.
Does anybody have any other questions for Dr. Stanek?
I do. Thanks for all you do.
Okay,
That's you're
thank
awesome.
you very much. I guess you're doing Latchkey and Care Day too,
I'll stay.
right? So you might as well just stay where you are.
Switch gears a little bit. So now we're going to talk about the after-school program. So Latchkey and Care Day. So Latchkey is our before and after care program that runs Tuesday through Friday and Mondays during Care Day, before and after Care Day. And then Care Day, which is the program that runs on Mondays when we do not have school. So our goal is the district will increase, or it's parent and community engagement. So the district will increase partnerships between businesses in the community and students by May of 2025. So those those connections, those community connections, I think are very important, and that has helped Care Day tremendously. It's great bringing in those outside sources. So first, talk about Latchkey. The Latchkey program provides before and after school for district students, grade kindergarten through 8th grade. We open at 5:30 in the morning, and then we run till 7:40, and then again we open at 3:15 and we run until 6. Currently, we have 6 staff members. We have locations in each of our elementary buildings: Rebecca Boone, Daniel Boone, and Warrior Ridge. And the middle schoolers, if they attend Latchkey, they attend the Daniel Boone site, so they just walk down. We offer a broad array of activities: STEM-based lessons, outdoor play, academic homework help, hands-on crafts, games, problem-solving skills. This year, we have offered our 4-H spin club in all of our Latchkey sites. Last year, we started a pilot program at the Daniel Boone Elementary, and Maureen Michael would come twice a month, and the kids would get a chance to learn what 4-H is, and they actually could join 4-H, and it was free, and then the students could enter projects in the fair. So this year, we expanded it to all 3 of our sites. Latchkey students, it was in there. We're doing it once a month, and this was actually the 4-H week. So she comes in once a week this year. Today we did sculpting. So they talked about sculptures. They made it with clay, and then they covered it with foil, and kids were having a great time. So we are also a WISE grant recipient. Each Latchkey site was the recipient of a WISE grant. Through the grant, they were gifted Indy coding cars and BristleBots. So we're really trying to get those robotics and STEM and coding and those kind of things worked into the after-school program. So the Indy car, as you can see in the picture, the students use the colored tiles, and each colored tile makes the car do something differently. So they had a great time learning how to code and getting him where he needed to be at the end. Enrollment attendance, so I started with 2020, and on the very bottom is 2023-24, so we were at 165. We actually added 5 students this week, so that number is not in there, so we're at 170 right now. Average daily attendance in the AM. So in the AM, we only have 1 worker in each building. To meet, we are state licensed, so to meet the licensing need, we need to be a ratio of 1 to 16. So as you can see in all the buildings, Warrior Ridge is our highest right now in the morning. Daniel Boone is right below it. Rebecca Boone is a little bit smaller in the morning, but we just have 1 worker in each of the building in the morning, and in the afternoon we have 2. Rebecca Boone in the afternoon had 14, 21, and 15. Daniel Boone 31, 31, 29. Warrior Ridge 23, 21, and 19. So Daniel Boone is our largest site. Now this the parents only pay for when the students attend. So we have a sliding scale. It's 3 or less days or 4 or more. So, and they're not tied into that, which has its perks, or has its ups and has its downs. So they may attend 1 day, they pay that certain fee. They might attend 4 days, and then another one. That 5th day is then if they attend on Care Day at Rebecca Boone, or if we have a snow makeup day on that Monday. So that's where that 5th day comes in. Financial overview. It's very similar to what it was last year at the end, because I just presented in May. So we were right there where we ended in May. And then Care Day. So our Care Day program was developed due to the implementation of the 4-day school week during the 1920 school year. That seems like forever ago. Our program is here to support the needs of our working parents in the community as we strive to provide a safe and supportive environment that encourages social, emotional, physical, and intellectual growth for our students. Our Care Days are available each Monday except for professional development days or holidays. And it's located at Rebecca Boone. Latchkey is available before and after, so Care Day runs normal school time, 7:40 to 3:15. We have 4 staff members. We have 147 students enrolled, and then breakfast and lunch are served daily. Care Day has been funded. This will be the 4th year. We had a school-age community grant 3 years ago that helped to cover it. We were renewed on that grant this year, so that grant will give us $240,000 over 3 years, so $80,000 a year. And that's to implement STEM programming during Care Days. So that covers supplies, staffing, pretty much the whole program. Professional development, and allows Care Day program to be free of charge for all district students. One thing I'm super excited about this year is they have the Missouri After School Network offers they call it MOSAC, Professional Development Weekend, and with this grant I'm able to send 3 of my staff members. And I can't remember the last one. I was never able to send any of my staff members for professional development, so I'm super excited. The ladies are excited to get to go, and that's next weekend.
Great.
So, the grant award, we also received a micro grant from the Missouri After School Network. This year, it's a $2,000 grant. We purchased an embroidery machine and some additional vinyl and cutting supplies to work with our Cricut machines and heat presses last year. So last year, the students learned how to make t-shirts, and we made pot holders at Christmas that we then sold, and the students used the money to put back in the program and purchase other items. They came up with the idea they wanted to make beanies. That's their big thing. So I had to figure out how to use the embroidery machine. So I am getting a lesson on it tomorrow. So we are learning, but the kids are super excited. We also received the Missouri Department of Conservation bus grant. The grant will cover the reimbursement for bus transportation for students to visit a Missouri State Park. So we have it lined up where this year our Care Day students are going to go to Quiver River State Park in May. And we'll get to do hands-on science activities. Last year she brought the snakes out. We did photosynthesis. So there's a broad array of activities, and we will get to pick what we would like to do. But I'm sure the snakes will be on the list because that was their top. Not mine. The financial overview, again, we have $80,000 a year with the grant, so $240,000 total. Community partnerships. So with Care Day, like I mentioned before, the partnerships are a vital part of our program. The University of Missouri Extension Center comes in usually on a weekly basis at Care Day, and they do the 4-H lessons, they do health and nutrition lessons, they help us with our indoor tower gardens, and they also help us with our outdoor gardens. So this year the students we planted acorn squash, and then they harvested them at the beginning, and it was funny because a lot of the students didn't know what they were, and they have never eaten them before. So they had a chance, Jolynn Hambach, we cooked them, and then the students had a chance to eat them, so it all kind of tied together. We are working our tower gardens. We have cucumbers growing. We have cilantro and oregano and lettuce and all kinds of things. So anytime we harvest, we let the kids try it. And we see, some of them are like, oh, that's really good. And some are like, oh, I'm not doing that again. So it's very interesting. We've also are partnering up with the Warrenton Aquatic Center. The past few years, we've done safety around water lessons. We're doing that again. It starts in January. So they come to Care Day, and usually on the last lesson, we take the kids on a field trip to the pool and they get to try out their life-saving skills. So that was one of the picture on the front. The students were learning how to throw the life preserver out to the others, or to the student to save them. They do CPR lessons as well. Scenic Regional Library visits once a month. They come into our kindergarten group and they do story time lessons with the students. St. Louis Dairy Council, we do the Adopt a Cow program and the Grass to Glass Dairy program, it's a hard one to say, which focuses on the importance of dairy. Girl Scouts comes in on a weekly or a monthly basis and does STEM lessons. We have local hairstylists coming in and giving free haircuts to students again. Those will be in January this year, and then hopefully again in the spring. So, and then Boy Scouts brought their STEM trailer in, and coming up in December we have the Missouri After School Network, which is bringing the mobile STEM programming. That is something new that was allowed. We wrote that into the grant. So they're coming, and they will come all week. So they will come one day to Care Day, and then they will go to each latchkey site. So it'll be a whole week-long program. And then that was our pumpkin carving day. We were having fun. What questions can I answer?
I was talking to some people from other districts at our conference last weekend, and they said, so you offer babysitting on Monday? And I said, no, we don't. We do not offer babysitting. We have a curriculum and we have, and they were just like, really? Because, there were people who were kind of talking about a 4-day week and stuff. And I wish they could have seen all of your presentation.
I forgot to mention it. I didn't get the pictures in there, but we were visited by the varsity football players on Monday, and it was so sweet. You would have, those kids, they were holding on to those pictures, and they said, we're going to keep them because they're going to be famous someday. That's what one little guy told me. It was so cute. So they were loving
That
it.
was
So
cool.
that was a great, the kids really enjoyed it. And I had most of those kids, a lot of those kids by Warrior Ridge, and I was like, they were this tall, and now they're way bigger.
I will reiterate what Frankie said. I get questions all the time about what makes our 4-day work week a success. And I know we have a lot of good things that go on in our 4-day work week, but your program is at the top of the list of what makes our 4-day work week work. And thank you. That's really cool.
Thank you.
And I'd like to
Very
praise
fun.
Dr. Stanek a little bit on the grant writing. That's all
Yes.
her. She goes out and finds
Yeah.
that.
That's a
Allows it to
big
be
deal.
free for all our community members. So outstanding work being able to track that down and make it be the model really for 4-day school weeks around the
Yeah.
state. So great job.
Awesome job.
Thank you so much. Discipline.
Discipline and safety.
And Dr. Ross gets to follow.
Yeah.
Follow that, big boy.
I don't really get the happy job. So, I'm here to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, school, staff, student safety and discipline updates. This year in comparison to previous years. So just jumping right into it. I'm sorry, Lucy, I hit the wrong button.
That's okay.
I just don't want to talk about
Hang on. Right.
Why'd you even do that?
I don't know what it's.
It's a
Yeah, there's
voice
like a-
technique.
Edit button.
Both buttons?
it. No, it's actually the laser button, so I don't know. You did it. Okay, so this all falls under the CSIP goal number 2, where what we're trying to do is increase the number of students that have 2 or less office referrals. And we want to increase that by at least 0.5% over the previous year's numbers based on enrollment. So action steps that we've taken, implementing positive behavior strategies district-wide. We continue to work with the University of Missouri, RPDCs around different RPDC Senate representatives. They're going into buildings, working with staff, trying to build systems of interventions is really what we're focused on this year. So those students that aren't necessarily your super high flyers, like how do we keep them from getting there, building those intermediate interventions. Every month I meet with the assistant principals and we go over specific discipline topics and talk about policy and how we're adhering to those and the steps that we're taking. And then every year we have a discipline committee of teachers, admin, other staff, and families from the community that reviews, and we make suggestions as far as what we think maybe needs to be changed within policy. With those things being done, here is the overall numbers, and you're going to see an increase, particularly in the month of October. And I'm going to get into what these are. The increase is really due more to some additional focus on certain areas. So just getting into that quickly, this is just a chart that represents October is always the month where everything sort of spikes. And so we kind of see that too as we go forward. But with that in mind, looking at specific codes, here are our 4, and you're going to see increases in tardies, truancies, which are always our 2 highest. The biggest increase was in truancies. This is particularly the case in the high school. They've implemented a new software where students sign in and sign out every time they leave a classroom, and so they have an accurate reporting of how long students are out of the classroom. And so this is probably contributing to this a little bit more, because once they meet a certain threshold of being out of the classroom, that results in a truancy referral. And so that's probably driving a lot of this. I don't think that we are 2.5 times more out of class. I think it's just more that hyper-focus due to that software. Same thing for the insubordination with the cell phone. So this is something that came from our discipline committee last year. This was what we talked about. There were a couple of other things too, but probably 95% of our time was spent on cell phones in our middle schools and high schools. So the middle school and high school, they each took a different sort of approach to how they wanted to do this, even though it didn't result in a policy change. Both buildings sort of took it upon themselves to make this a point of emphasis for the school year. In the middle school, students have to turn in their cell phones when they walk into class. They don't get it back till when they leave. At the high school, students are able to keep their phones, but they're adhering to the discipline procedures, and teachers are entering referrals when students are not using their cell phones appropriately. The thought being that these older students could handle that more than the middle school students. And so the bulk of the insubordination with cell phones, not adhering to the cell phone procedures, are coming from the high school, because again, that additional focus to that area is causing the addition in referrals that we can see there. And then the other ones, physical aggression, a couple of, that's always such a nuanced sort of deal. A couple of caveats with that, because obviously any increase in that is a concern. But this year with Infinite Campus, there isn't really a place to notarize. We have some students that are in outside placements. And so referrals this year, if they receive those in those outside placements, in order for us to keep track of those for when they have their IEP meetings in district, our SPED office is entering them into Infinite Campus. So when we run the report, they show as our referrals, even though those things aren't happening in our building. And then for what's left of the 114, about 49 of those belong to students that we're working with I guess tier 3 interventions, for lack of a better term, because they're kind of accruing with about 9 different students, and all at the elementary level. And so we're working with those kiddos very closely, obviously. But I mean, the big bulk of those is concentrated to just a few students. And so, when you take that out and you look at what's left for the remainder of our population, it's about 2%. And so, about what you would hope. And the abusive language referrals are down, which is great to see as well. Okay, so in terms of our goal, we did not meet our goal. And again, I believe that this is a lot to do with these new additional layers of focus, particularly at the high school, trying to identify these behaviors and address them each and every time they happen. And so we actually went back in the number of students at the end of October. That's the cutoff for this, that we currently had 2 or less referrals. And so, that's something that we're hoping that this increased focus on these areas will ultimately lead to improvement down the road as students realize they can't get away with certain things. Different action steps that are being taken throughout the buildings, because every building has their own individual issues and things that they're focusing on. In our elementary schools, things that are happening are reinforcing positive behavior. All of our buildings are issuing positive behavior referrals in some way. We have a building even working with bus drivers and getting them into the game of it. Bus referrals was really sort of our big initial topic that I met with assistant principals about, and this was one of the things they wanted to do to help build those relationships between bus drivers and students, because that seems to be where things go wrong, you know what I mean, especially when students are only on there for a limited amount of time. Our elementaries are also partnering with local Kiwanis, to help try to promote positive citizenship. At the middle school, during advisory, this has become a dedicated time to reinforce behavior expectations in a proactive way before things, I guess sort of points of emphasis as they roll along, but then also as things come up, it gives them an opportunity and a place for staff to work with students and, explaining, hey, here are the things we're seeing, things we can't have on a building level. And then at the high school, they are, in addition to, I guess, the increased focus on certain areas, they're trying to focus on relationships. They're increasing the number of parent meetings they're having prior to, significant referrals. Trying to build some student mediations into situations, not always just jumping right into, a consequence, but trying to focus on fixing a relationship, depending on the circumstances, of course. And then creating positive adult connections as students accrue and they become more at risk, for lack of a better word. They're trying to find adults in the building that they can check in with and have a positive relationship, something to look forward to coming to school for. And additional safety, just kind of step away from safety, even though this doesn't really touch on the CSIP goal, but a lot of things have been going on in order to make our district a safer place. Just the other month, you all approved the contract for the additional SROs, and we're excited for them to join us. Whenever they come through WPD or Truesdale Police. We were awarded the safety grant from DESE. Those funds will initially be used to increase fencing at Daniel Boone and Warrior Ridge. Based on what's left there, we may be able to provide some protective sheathing for our out-facing windows at buildings, but we'll see what happens with that. Over the summer, we, admin from all buildings, counselors, we underwent behavioral risk assessment training from MSBA Center for Educational Safety. We've spent some time this year building those protocols so that when students have or make concerning comments or make concerning choices, we are now better trained to analyze those, break those down. Again, build relationships with our law enforcement to know, okay, so when this happens, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to take there, this is when we're going to ask our police partners to take certain steps, things like that. And then also here shortly in January, we're going to be implementing Raptor emergency management software. So that's going to help us in two ways. One, it's going to help us manage our drills. That's going to give us a place to store information so we can know, all right, so are we getting better at how quickly we can get folks out the building and things like that. But then also it's going to be an emergency communication system. And it's going to be something that our local first responders and emergency agencies are also taking part in. And so we'll be able to connect with them as well. We can even upload like schematics of our building into this. So should anybody have to report to the building, they can have it with them. It's a very powerful thing. The state of Missouri is actually paying for this for the next 2 years. And so we have our first meeting to find out about implementation here in a couple of weeks. And so hopefully we can get this going with our drills and get our emergency phone tree, for lack of a better word, set up and all of that starting in January. And then last year, we were finally able to complete hardening our building entrances by requiring everyone to ID scan before they can enter the office area. And so that's been successfully implemented. And pending your questions, that's all I had this evening.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the students leaving classrooms and the truancy being calculated? How is that happening? How is that happening?
So students, when they leave a classroom, there's a Chromebook by the door,
Okay.
and so they sign out, and then they sign back in, and it's just on like a kiosk type
Yeah.
mode, and so.
So is it ever communicated to like future teachers, okay, the student has gone to the bathroom the last 5 hours? Is there any like way for 6th hour and 7th hour to know either they need medical attention or they don't need to go to the bathroom. Is there any way that they're not gonna be able to go if they've already, I don't know.
Right, so within the same day, no, like the system doesn't, it's really just a data building system, so it doesn't like flag or anything like that. Alarms will go off when they try to set it up later in the day. It'd be neat, but, yeah, so ultimately what it is, when the admin at the high school have the repeat offenders, you know,
Okay.
they're communicating with staff.
Great, yeah, that's what happens, so I just didn't know
Right.
if there was a way to help stop the
Right, yeah.
problem.
Yes, ma'am.
With that, are they leaving campus or are they just leaving the
No,
classroom?
they're just out in the hallways. So far.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I guess I can't speak for every instance of truancy, but yeah.
And we didn't really have a way to track that so thoroughly before, right? Which is why it's showing up, it's
It's
such
new
an
data.
increase.
Right, yeah, so this is new, like, before we did have Chromebooks that we just set up like a Google Doc. You know, we tried to do it internally, and
Mhm.
it just, not as powerful, not as easy to
Right,
use, and so,
right.
yeah.
Anybody else?
For me.
No, I appreciate hearing about how the buildings have taken such a proactive approach and like really taken ownership of like if there isn't a clear thing for cell phones, just having a united building approach. And like as I was reading through the PDF, like just knowing that the reason why these numbers are higher is because they're really, you know, linking arms together. And so I appreciate that, and I just appreciate all the information to know, because sometimes you do see higher numbers, you're like, how did this happen? It's like, oh, it's because it's being recorded. Like,
And that's fine, so long as these steps, you know, result in lower ones later.
Right,
We will see.
right, we would
True.
hope that would be the case.
true. Thank you. That's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Okay, just our monthly financial report, to kind of wrap up our superintendent's reports section. Okay, so compared to last year, revenues are slightly below where we were this time last year, and expenses are up a little bit. Now, remember last year's budget, we had the $1 million food service building that we had in the budget, so we're always going to be behind until that kind of gets caught up, or be ahead of that on the expenses side. Fund balances are, let's see, I think I have that backwards. We're at 31.8 this year, 27 last year. Sorry, I have that flip-flopped. As you can see on our chart here, this year we're still above when we were last year. We are seeing that trend kind of come closer, and that was kind of to be expected because the state percentage of our funding is about 40% of our budget, as opposed to normally closer to 50%. So our monthly payments aren't as high as on our percentage of our budget, so we are expecting to see that close. So just, and we are getting kind of to our lowest time of year cash flow in November and December, as always. So I'd expect November to almost be exactly the same, and December to be maybe about the same. January is kind of a question mark of how will local tax revenue come in. We all got our tax bills recently, and I'm sure everyone's excited to open those envelopes, but we appreciate everyone paying their taxes and on time.
Good day.
All right, thank you very much for everyone doing that, because that is what impacts that January line. So we will see how that turns out, but this is kind of what we expected to see this year. And so really the big question mark to determine how we end the year is probably going to be what happens in January. So, okay, so here's our, just our numbers. Local numbers are up. You know, that's Prop C's up. Investments are up compared to last year. So county is down a little bit. We should see that kind of bounce back, I think. I think that's just the timing of payments. State money's pretty much the same. We're pretty close there. Federal, of course, is way down for COVID funds and things like that don't come in. So this year, right now, we're actually down about $700,000 from what we received last year. So then October, salaries are up as we expected, as we gave raises. Benefits the same way. Purchase services are up, slightly compared to this time last year, and supplies are up as well. So expenses are up right at this point. Ending fund balance for capital projects, which is all our building projects, 1.6 million there. And just to report, we have spent all of our COVID stimulus funds in this fund and been reimbursed. So all the money has been spent, been reimbursed, so we've received 100% of all of our federal stimulus funds from that time. So that's over. So other than just the reporting side, but we've got it all paid for. So it's all in the bank, which is good
Okay.
news. So and that is finances.
Anybody have any questions about the financial report?
Yeah, this one.
Okay. Next is MSBA conference report.
Yes, it's just an opportunity for anybody on the board that attend the conference to share anything they'd like to share.
I just know that as a board goal, we were talking about safety, and that each of us that are attending, we're going to attend something about safety. And I know as I had conversations with each of the board members that attended, I just appreciated that we followed through with that goal, even if it was a variety of things. I just think it's important to stick to what we say. So I learned about marijuana and psychosis, and so it's interesting to hear more about mental health and how it can impact things, and also how,
Of course, I focused on, again, going to as many safety breakout sessions that I could, because it's always try to pick up something new to make us more safe, but it all still comes down to one thing that they talk about every breakout session: locked doors. That's the key, locked doors. So I just need to make sure that we reiterate to our staff, our teachers. I know it's a pain. Sometimes it's just tough to do, but locked doors, locked doors, locked doors. And thank you for the opportunity to go to this conference. It was an amazing conference, and just to share what great things go on in our school district with other staffs, and it was really interesting and great time.
I went to a active shooter breakout session, and definitely locked doors. They also had some of the film that they put on the protective glass, and we're speaking about how quickly someone can get through a glass door, and so having those protective barriers are important. And I know that's kind of a focus that we've all wanted to both get more security measures, but also just make sure our kids are safe. So I appreciated getting to go and listen to that. Sad topics, but still.
Yeah.
And I also would say too, on top of that as well, that's where we talked about Mr. Sharp earlier tonight and honoring him and the work that they do. That was something that was mentioned so many times, that schools that don't have that relationship with their emergency people, and we're very blessed with that, like she said, the first few minutes of any situation is the most important part of that time. And I know how hard our outside entities work to make sure that they are ready for an unfortunate situation, that we can narrow that time as much as possible, which is going to be more successful. So again, thank you to Mr. Sharp.
I guess safety was the #1 breakout session. I went to one on a swatting incident down around Springfield, and that was very interesting to hear how they worked through that process and what they learned from it. And then another one I went to was about community engagement, and they had this thing called the 60+ Club, and they brought people into the schools and kind of entertained them and did different activities with the older segment, which includes me, of the community. And it was real fun to see how that really strengthened the bond in the community with the school.
Mm-hmm. In that session too, because I was there too, they just talked about transparency with the community and trying to build up support at the ballot box, which is something we're thinking heavily about now because of April. But they had some great ideas, and went to some safety, sessions too, but also there was one that was on school climate and increasing attendance and, just kids, improving kids' attitudes about school and self-esteem and stuff. Had some really, really good ideas too. So I always learn things and appreciate being able to go.
Something that I appreciate too is that it helps us focus on what our role actually is, and so it's fun to hear what other districts are doing. And I was able to do refresher training,
Right.
which is important. I know you were able to do your new board member training that state mandated. We did the refresher, and I got to learn more about how to effectively do a superintendent evaluation. So I just appreciate the opportunity to develop as a professional in this volunteer role that we are in.
And I got to learn what it means to be a delegate to the Missouri State School Board Association. So thank you for that opportunity.
That nomination that we all
Oh,
get.
have to go through that.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I took it. But it was really, it is kind of interesting, once you get in there and see the parliamentary procedures that they do and the power, I mean, it's really a neat thing, and so it's interesting, and so again, it was an eye-opening experience, but really good for our board to be a part of that.
I thought it was a great thing that we were able to get together and watch the Warriors get a win. on
Yeah, that
Friday
was
night,
so fun.
As the board, for those who could be there Friday night, and then how lucky we were to have the voice of the Warriors with us to give us play-by-play updates while we're watching it on the laptop. So I thought that was a great opportunity for us, and something I did not see any other Board of Educations do. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah,
Playing
that's true.
Yeah,
that,
other boards
supporting
had-
our students.
Had
and-
people playing, and we were like, that was it. Nothing
Right.
else
We're
mattered
all
that night.
gathered
so.
around the screen watching.
So,
Until overtime.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes, and then
Yeah,
some of us couldn't watch
Thanks,
anymore.
thanks to John Meyer, though.
Yeah, shout out to John Meyer.
Oh, gosh, okay. Consent agenda is next. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move the approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ginger. There's been a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Does anyone have any questions before we vote?
Just one comment, just so everyone's kind of aware, is the board filing dates is December 5th at 8 o'clock. Then it closes on December 26th at 5 p.m. So not a very long window there to file for the Board of Education if you're interested in refiling or anyone else that wants to run.
And it's 2 seats this year.
Yes.
Sometimes we have 3, but this year's 2, so,
3-year terms.
right. Okay, are we ready to vote? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda is passed. Next item is old business, and we just have the one, policy approval, is that correct?
That's correct. And so this is just a health from our nurses requested that we take the line that says screenings will be held in September or October out of the policy to give them a little bit more flexibility.
Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the policy as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
I'll second.
Carolyn seconded, okay. Any questions or discussion about that? I think we kind of talked about it last month a little, so. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes, policy is approved. New business, summer school proposal.
Right, so this is very similar to what we did last summer. You've heard from Dr. Stanek on kind of the new additions. So.
Is the pay rate any different?
I believe through negotiations, we increased that $1 an hour, I believe, from those in our negotiated agreement. So we went from 25 to 26.
It was 26.
Was it 26 last summer? Right?
Oh,
Okay,
so
so it's the
it's
same,
same as
same as
last
last.
It's the same as this past
As this past.
summer.
So maybe that was 2
Okay.
negotiations ago we did that.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the summer school proposal as presented.
thank you, Rich.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion or other questions?
No, I'm excited about what's being presented.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the summer school proposal is approved. next is the calendar.
Yes, almost the same calendar as this year. This year's calendar, we have one extra day in our schedule for makeup snow day, just because of the way Good Friday fell, which is a holiday, and that fell over spring break. And so we have an extra day in our calendar this year. Next year, we do not have that extra day in the calendar, so it's Good Friday. It's not on spring break and at a different time. It's just when Good Friday fell. That's really the only difference in the calendar.
Was there input from,
Sure. So yeah, our kind of calendar process, we send it out to our teacher union groups, MSD and NEA, and they send it out to their group, get feedback, and we collaborate and talk about when to put things. And then we meet during our superintendent advisory team, discuss it.
The graduation backup time, is that on Sunday or Saturday?
That's Saturday, same day.
Saturday.
Okay, same day.
If it
Yeah,
looks
so
like
which
the
is on this
weather's-
calendar now, so people,
Right.
I know we've discussed that a lot as a board of when that is, so,
Yes.
yeah.
If it looks like the weather's gonna be threatening that evening, we could
Move it to the
move it to the morning.
I'm just shocked that we don't have any school days in June. I don't know the last time that happened, it's been a while.
Well, this year, we don't have any, I don't think.
Yeah,
otherwise-
we
First,
did.
it ends, it's not.
It's
Is
just
it
when
the
the
last
calendar
one's,
falls in.
oh, it's May 31st.
Right.
Yeah, so it's the same, never mind.
So if we can have our start, we are under some laws, we have to follow of when start date can be. So I wish we could start school about a week earlier, so we didn't have
Right,
to
but
deal,
we
we'd be
don't
done
have
before
that
Memorial
option.
Day, but the law, state law says we can't start 2 weeks prior than, so you can start no more than 2 weeks from the first Monday, which is Labor Day. So you get 2 weeks before Labor Day, and then that's the earliest you can start.
I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the 24-25 calendar as presented.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second.
Thank you, Deanna. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the 24-25 calendar as presented. Any further discussion or questions? All right, then we vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Calendar's approved. Prop R3 ballot language comes next.
That's right, so we'll want to file our ballot language in December, same filing time as board candidates, so we'll want to get that in next month and probably do it before our next board meeting. So Lucy, if you wouldn't mind pulling that up. The ballot language, we've been working with LJ Hart to help us develop this. We're asking for $45 million on the ballot that will cover the cost of the full building. Now, we will not use all of that all at one time. We'll do the first section of the building, depending on assessed valuation, how much we have to borrow. So we'll have some decisions to make at that point whenever we actually get the bids for the building, but the plan would not be to borrow all of it at once and then build the first phase of the building for 25 classrooms, then add on the addition as needed once that time comes. But once that funds become available. So we're not sure, 45 million. Well, we know that'll cover the cost of the building. Estimates are about 42, so there's extra funds there. So we put some things in the ballot language that allowed us to do other physical upgrades to the buildings, like roofing, HVAC, that sort of thing. And some of the language they wanted to put in there about, prepaying lease obligations. So for example, we need to borrow money in 2025 for the building, and then in 27 it becomes, we're able to pay all that off. We can use the bond to do that. So that's kind of why all the language is there, and it looks like a lot of ballot language. And then it also specifically says can issue bonds in multiple years. So we would issue what we can in a no tax increase bond issue, and then as assessed value comes up, more bonding capacity becomes available, we would draw that down, and so it would be done in multiple years instead of all at one time. A little bit different than a standard bond issue, but it's the same idea. It's all no tax rate.
I think it's good that it states at the end that the debt service levy is estimated to remain unchanged. It kind of makes it clear at the end that we're not
Right.
asking for an increase. If you get lost in all the previous
Right.
verbiage, you can read that and see that it's staying the same, so.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's, not recommended to highlight certain words, because that without is just kind of masked after, you know, everything else is capitalized, and then the without's like,
Yeah, without an estimated increase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You want it to be bold, italicized.
I want to be
underlined.
like,
Sure.
you are not
Yeah.
having the tax increase,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
because I know whenever you're reading through the ballot, it's like,
I know, there's
Right.
a lot there.
I want it to like
So-
flashing lights, really.
Yeah. I guess all the other capital, I didn't even realize, that's a good point, all the other capital letters, I guess, are names,
Yes.
and the first one's not.
They're all proper nouns.
Right.
Yes.
Well, except $45 million is capitalized. I
Yeah.
don't know why that
Yeah,
is.
I don't know.
There's
I'll
an
have to-
emphasis there, but not the without part.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I don't know, and I don't know if that has to be, there's
I
some
wonder.
rules and things.
Sure,
that
I know.
I don't
It
know.
can stay,
Okay.
we'll just trust.
That's the education part of it, though, you know, getting
Right,
the information
absolutely.
out and, yeah, making sure it's clear. Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the ballot language for Proposition 3, R3 for the April 2nd, 2023 election as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the ballot language as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And it passes.
And I think it should be noted, that the board that makes a motion to put it on the ballot are the ones that get, if it would pass, would be the ones that get their names on the plaque whenever the building opens. So, congratulations if this passes,
That was
all of
so
you.
exciting to
are,
hear.
have the opportunity to have your name on the plaque on the building, which is important to some. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving right
I
along.
will say though, that I have read that plaque in the new high school many times.
Sure.
Because a couple of my former basketball players' names are on there, and I always thought, that's pretty cool.
That's really good incentive for us to get out and help the voters
There you
be
go.
educated for
Right.
this proposition. so.
Well, it's what's best for our kids, that's all that
Oh,
matters.
right.
Yeah, that's all.
No doubt about it.
My grandpa's on the field house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Oh,
long.
yeah, did we read 23? Lucy's got a good point there. I mistyped that. The election's actually 2024, not 2023,
Oh.
so.
Did I say, did I make the motion
You
for
said
2023?
23.
Yeah, because that's the way I wrote it.
Yeah.
Right, that's my fault.
Okay, so what's the,
Just amended to 2024.
okay, so I make a motion to amend, the previous motion, even though we already voted on it.
Yeah, I know, we shouldn't have, but I didn't catch that either.
Yeah, great
Glad
job,
you
Lucy,
did.
thank you so much.
Make it, we'll clean it
I'll
up.
amend it to, be 2024.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
All right, this motion's been made and seconded to amend that previous, motion and vote to read April 2nd, 2024. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, are we good, Lucy? Keep us,
Yes, thank you,
keep us in
Lucy.
the right
Sorry about that, that's my fault.
road. Okay. Long-term, permanent, and teacher certified sub-pay.
Right, okay, so one of our major issues that we're still facing is subs in our classrooms. We have a lot of our teachers, and Dr. Ross has a bunch of data and information, he's been tracking this really closely, is how do we get more subs, essentially, is what we're trying to do, so our teachers don't have to sub on their plan times. And I do appreciate all of our teachers' willingness to cover for each other and do all that. We're very appreciative of all that to make the day go. But it really is hard on teachers and hard on morale whenever they have to continue to do that. So we've been looking at this as ways, and then really I think pay for our most critical area is what needs to happen. So there are most critical areas when we talk to our principals are long-term subs, permanent subs, and then we would like to get our most qualified people with teaching certificate kids to come work for us. So when a teacher subs on a plan period, we pay them $30 an hour. When IST or somebody like that subs at the elementary level, they're just paid at their regular rate, which is often over $50 an hour that we're paying them to sub on that time. What this proposal would be for those critical areas of permanent sub, long-term subs, and to people with a teaching certificate or had held teaching certificate at some point, would be to pay them $25 an hour, which would be $200 a day. I know that's quite a significant increase to where we're at now, but I do think it'll work out in itself. Currently in our budget for subs, we paid EduStaff last year roughly $450,000. EduStaff is our sub service that we use. So we paid them roughly $450,000. In our current budget, we have about $550,000 because I was hoping we would get more subs, but we're not. So that's probably going to be about the same or even less than what we had. So there's a little bit of room there. So what would happen if we would increase this? Well, our current permanent subs, which is about 12 of them, that would increase their pay, obviously. And then it'd be about $10,000 a year for them. So that would go up about $10,000 a year for them. But what I'd hope is that we would have more people in the classrooms and we're not paying our teachers $50 an hour to cover the cost of that. So that's not broken out in our sub budget. That goes in different salary budgets. I don't have great numbers on that, but just kind of knowing that we're paying $30 an hour versus $25 an hour. Now there is an increased cost on EduStaff at 26% that we pay them, but on the teachers we're also paying PSRS, so that's probably about the same pay. They're probably not a lot of savings there, but what we would probably save is on the elementary side with IST subbing for sure would save money there. But the main goal really is just to get coverage, and having our teachers cover less than they have to now, and giving them their plan times. Dr. Ross, any data or any information you want to share? I know you pulled a lot of information.
Yeah, depending on what you all would like to know, I can try to answer your questions as best I can. It's really closer to 10 full-time perm subs,
Oh, okay.
just because 2 are part-time. They're only there.
Sure, thanks for the clarity.
Yeah. But those, and it's hard, like, there's so much nuance with this because everything changes on a seemingly day-to-day basis. But those 10 folks are our perm sub population, at least through the month of October, responsible for about half of our classes getting covered. So that's something I want to really dive into, is of all the absences, what percentage are perm subs, are non-perm subs, and then our teachers, what percentage are being covered. So they're obviously our most effective subs. I mean, as they're there every day. Some buildings more than others, and these perm subs in the States too. So there's some of that, but like I say, whatever I can try to answer for you, I'd be happy to.
So right now we have no cap on permanent subs because we just want them.
Right.
With this decision, would we make a cap?
We could. We could say we would have 22, 24, and that would be, I would think, be fine. But right now, we've told EduStaff, just get as many as you can.
Yes.
Get as many as you can. And this is their max number that they've been able to pull for us. And so we could put a cap on it, sure. Yeah, absolutely, if we want to. And I'd imagine we would at some point. There'll become a point where we're like, these people aren't doing anything. And,
Yeah, if they're not able to fill the
we're not-
job.
yeah,
That's why
right.
I'm wondering if there's a
Right.
cap.
Right, we could say 20, 24. I think that'd probably be a fair number. What do you think, Brad? You're monitoring that pretty closely.
Yeah, in terms of total vacancies that we need to fill.
I would think on average we're about 20 a day is the minimum, basically, on most days.
Yeah, this year, low 20s.
Yeah.
Friday's higher still. Overall, we're around 24, 25.
Yeah, on an average, it's about what we're at.
Yeah.
That'd be about where I would think so too. And also, these permanent subs are going to be absent from time to time as well. They're going to get sick and have things happen in their lives. So you almost have to have subs for the subs. And so it's,
And have we discussed, in the future, something we could discuss too? Because I think we've discussed before that you're talking about Fridays being that day that is of putting some kind of strategy in place.
we've limited pay time off on every Friday during the school year.
Okay, good.
This year, that was part of the negotiated
that's what I thought,
agreement.
yeah.
So that's happening, and so we're limiting subs on our biggest, limiting days people could take their pay time off on that. And that has helped, I think, some.
Okay.
But we're still having a much higher number of teachers having to sub in their plan times than we would like.
Sure. I'm I'm willing to do anything that gets that number down.
Right, that's kind of, and this.
I know that's been the biggest kind of.
Right, this could be some expense, but I do think we can handle it within our current budget, and I think we'll see savings in areas of the budget that we're spending money on now. I'd like to say it'd be budget neutral, but I think it'd probably be some expense, maybe 50,000 maybe, ballpark. Because we will, like I said, when IST doesn't have to be pulled from being an IST, that's a huge savings for us. I mean, that's, because the way that works is we can only be reimbursed for because ISTs are federally funded and they have to be reimbursed for the jobs that we've told the federal government that they're going to do. So if they're not doing those jobs, we're not able to claim that as reimbursement back, so the district just has to cover the cost.
Makes sense.
And so we really would prefer not to do that, so we can get that revenue back from the federal government.
I think my biggest concern is just since it is such a big jump and we're not gonna pull it back.
Right.
I'm not saying no to it, I'm just saying that that's my biggest concern. It's not like, oh wait, it's going better now. Now it's just 175 a day, like where it's like going to be
Right.
this amount.
Yeah.
And if we're uncomfortable with that big jump, I understand that, but I do think that we've got to make kind of a splash here. But what we can debate or discuss going down dollars too, that would be fine. But I just think we have to do something.
Well, I liked your comparison about, you know, what we're paying someone every hour, different teachers every hour, times 30 times 7 or whatever is 210, plus we're giving 200, so kind of, to me, it made sense.
Right.
I know that in my mind, it's crazy.
When I go to the retired teachers meeting and try to recruit retired teachers to come
Yeah.
back, it's like, well, you paid me this amount last year whenever I was working for you, and now you want me to take a big pay decrease to come back. It's a hard sell.
But if we're paying 26%, then we're paying 250, right?
Wouldn't be too.
So 25%.
Yeah, that'd be about right, yeah. So then we also pay, like when we pay teachers, we have to pay 14.5% to PSRS.
Yeah, so
And then
14%.
plus the,
30 is
Medicare,
$30.
yeah. So it'd be close to the same, a little bit more maybe, total cost. So like I said, if 200 is too high a number, we can come down. You know, it's really kind of wherever you guys are comfortable, I guess.
I think that like, I really want the teachers to have their plan period. And I really want our IST teachers to be able to meet the students that they're supposed to be meeting with. And so I am for doing something. I know normally we do things in negotiations.
Yeah,
and
subs
so-
typically, sub-pay isn't in our contract.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why we
That's
kind
true.
of operate outside that a little bit. But we did have to communicate with Superintendent Advisory's team on this as well.
Is this something that we're doing for just 1 year, or are we doing this,
This would be forever in the future, probably.
so? I'm kind of inclined to try it once for 1 year and see how the pay works out with the budget, and then readdress this next year for another vote, and maybe at that point we can make a permanent thing.
I think that, I just feel like we saw with the gift cards, what happened when we did go, like when we took something away.
Yeah.
I like what you're thinking, I feel like if we raise something, then that's what it is, like.
And what if we get in trouble?
Well,
Money.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've made cuts, yeah.
There'd be other areas we'd have to look at.
Well, I mean, one of the things could be, I don't know how long the permanent subs stay on. Like, if some dropped off and we wanted to decrease the amount, could we just not rehire those permanent, or how does that work?
Well, kind of what I'm just thinking about is you kind of get in trouble when you go back and pay. So if we wanted to just temporarily say it, we could say we would give a stipend amount of, if they would work extra days or something like that, do something kind of creative in that space instead of just giving a full, here's our new rate. We could say something like, we'll give you, if you're a permanent sub, you get your 140 a day, and then, you know, another $50 on top of that. But it just doesn't seem clean. As we kind of brainstorming about it, didn't.
If you did a stipend, would you be paying that extra fee to them?
Yeah, because they're their employees, so any pay would go to them. So there's really no way to avoid with that.
And we have in our contract with them that they provide the permanent subs. Like, we
Correct.
used to, back in the olden days, hire our own permanent subs.
Correct. And if they were gonna be a certified teaching position, we'd have to pay the minimum teacher salary,
Gotcha.
which would be 38,000 next year. This
So
would
we
be,
avoid that by going. through
right,
the
plus
contract.
insurance on top of that. So this would be roughly, if somebody worked every day, roughly 29,000 a year total cost, well, plus the cost to the edu staff, so that would 25% on top of that, so roughly 35,000, something like that. More, a little bit more than that, 36.
How long have we been at the current rate, the 120 and 130?
Oh, let's see, when did we do that? 21, I think, 22? You were on board, Jeff, I believe. So since you've been on board, I think we've been.
I remember talking about it, I was just trying to figure out
Yeah, I was just trying to think, it's been.
how long it's been.
Your first year, I believe.
We've been struggling with the sub problem
thing,
for a
right.
while.
Right.
Yeah, it's not gone away.
And so I threw 200 out there as just a number of what I thought would attract people at $25 an hour. That's above the county average wage, that would attract people to be here. So we can back that down if we're like, oh, let's be a little bit less than that. I know Troy's paying $165, I believe, for their retired teachers. So I'd like to at least be ahead of them.
I mean, I would be interested in 180. I think that's still a significant jump. That puts them
Sure.
at 2250, and see how that goes before we make the full jump without knowing what
Yeah,
it
sure.
looks like financially on the impact side. But just an idea.
Would that be starting November 9th?
Probably start, tomorrow, yeah.
So as in like it wouldn't back pay to like.
No.
Yeah.
We're changing our rates tonight, so it
Yes.
starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
180 is a 50% increase, it feels fair. For at least
Sure,
the track.
sure.
right?
Yeah, just in my head, I was like, ooh, we had a 2 in front of it, that'd really get some people's attention.
That's
But,
100%.
but I understand,
100%.
yeah, but I do get 180, I'd be comfortable with that.
But I
just-
also don't know how much $20 a day on 10 subs saves us for the worst of the year either.
Right.
Right.
But I
It's
understand,
some.
right, we can take this step, hey, this didn't do it, let's try a little bit more, but we
Right.
can come back, I mean, this isn't something that we can, so I'd be comfortable with 180 if that's more
Yeah.
palatable.
Just so we have an idea of what the financial impact
Sure.
is for next year. And then we could potentially raise it to
Mhm.
200.
Yeah.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll attempt it.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the substitute teacher pay at $180 per day for substitute teachers who hold or previously held a teaching certificate, long-term substitute teachers, and permanent substitute teachers.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the substitute teacher pay at $180 per day. And the rest as written and as stated, I'm not gonna read it again, I don't think it's in front of everyone. Any further discussion?
I just want to make sure that people know that the regular rate is still staying the same. So
Correct.
$120 a day.
Correct.
For a regular sub or someone who subs less than 9 days
Correct.
or less, different jobs.
Correct, and the thinking behind that is very similar to what we applied to with the paraprofessional situation last year is let's address our most critical area, and really see if that helps, and that seemed to work. So I think something like this will help our most critical area on the subs, which is permanent, long-term, and highly qualified subs, that will make a difference.
Is anything changing for substitute nurses?
Let's see,
As
so.
of the motion that we made, no, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, there was that in the nurses? Yes.
It,
I think it was gonna stay the same.
Let's see.
So in the regular sub rate for teachers, paraprofessionals, nurses is $120 a day, $130 after 10 days. The motion that we have is specific to substitute teachers. If a substitute nurse is going to sub as a substitute nurse for over 10 days, are we also wanting to, as a board, increase?
That's a good
that?
question. We could add that to the motion. My focus is on teachers, but we do have problems with sub nurses. We've got the contract with the company out there. This might actually help us get our own local people and not use the company. So
Have we utilized that company?
I don't think we you know if we've, I don't believe we have yet.
I'm fine leaving it as is. I want to make sure,
Mhm.
That's
like,
very
for
good.
sure that we
Yes.
are doing
That's a good
everything.
point.
So as of right now, the way that the motion stands is it does not include nurses.
That is correct.
Okay.
Unless you want to amend the motion to add nurses, which is fine with me.
I'm willing to vote as
And-
is. I just wanted to.
But
ask.
when it would add the nurses though, that's after a certain amount of days that.
It's after 2 years.
Yeah, that'd be a long-term or the same situation, but if they were certified as an RN or whatever certification we need them to be, which would be all of them, I guess, so that would be that rate.
I'm fine leaving it as is. I wanted to make sure,
Sure.
like, what we wanted to do.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, I mean, and again, I don't mind adding the nurses if that's something that we want to discuss or.
It sounds like we didn't need it. We're not using the
Sounds
services.
critical.
Like,
Okay.
I feel good.
Then we can
Or,
address
yeah,
it again
the
when we come
services.
back to, okay,
Okay.
very good.
All right, in that case, everyone understand what we're voting on?
Mhm.
Approve substitute teacher pay at $180 per hour.
Per day.
Per day.
Per day.
Per
Per
day.
hour. Oh, I wish. Per day, thank you.
There's lots of subs.
Just for
We just lost a lot of teachers.
Let me try that again.
But you gave a ton of subs.
Yes, I'm telling you. Okay, we're voting on a motion to approve substitute teacher pay at $180 per day for substitute teachers who hold or previously held a teaching certificate, long-term substitute teachers, and permanent subs. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Fencing bids, this
Yes.
ought to be easier, I hope.
Yes, this is our fencing bids for the safety grant. We put that out to bid, and to do the fencing, it's $51,935 to get that started, so.
And we did have 3 bids.
Yep.
And that
3
is
bids.
the low bid.
That's the low bid, those are on the diligent there, yep.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion? Yeah, it's Kennedy,
Yeah.
it's Kennedy Fencing is the low bid. I don't like how this goes back to the top sometimes, all of a sudden. I
Right.
haven't quite
Jumps
figured out
around.
what causes that.
Yeah, I'm still working on navigating it. Yearly, they're
Yes.
still working on.
Yes.
So,
navigation.
I make a motion to approve Kennedy Fencing to install fencing at Alpha, Daniel Boone, and Warrior Ridge.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff, for the second. Does anyone have any questions about that? There were diagrams where you could see where the fencing was going if you looked in the PDF. Does anybody have any questions or is there any discussion?
Is the fence going for Warrior Ridge, is it going all along the tree line? Cause I had thought that it would go to the tree line, but is it going against the trees along the?
Let me pull it up here and see.
Looks like it goes right in front of the trees.
Right.
Yep, right,
That's
right up
what
to
I
the trees
thought.
there. Yeah, kind of zigzags around the trees,
Mhm.
yep.
I'm just really excited about this. I
Good
think
job.
it's a
That's
really
fair.
good
That's
step
okay.
for the security of our buildings.
Yeah,
Me too.
and the ball's not going into the trees, I'm telling you, cause I've been on that playground and that's where they go. Okay, ready to vote? All those in favor of approving Kennedy Fencing to install the fencing at Alpha, Warrior Ridge, and Daniel Boone, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Purple Star Award resolution is next.
That's right, so, Dr. Ross has been kind of our champion for this, Ms. James asked about this award a couple years ago, and we missed the application timeline last year, but, this year we're on it. thanks to Dr. Ross's great leadership. So, Dr. Ross, want to talk about the Purple Star Award?
Sure. So what Purple Star designation is, it's actually something that's nationwide, and states can adopt it, and Missouri has. But ultimately, a district and even individual schools can be recognized as Purple Star schools or districts by demonstrating a commitment to military families. And so, just speaking personally as someone who is a reservist, like I don't know, this has been extremely easy because our district has always been nothing but supportive. Not just the schools, but the whole community. And so there's been a number of things we've had to do. Each building has to have a recognized, I guess, liaison if a family should move into to the district or into that building's footprint. That, you know, if the student's struggling, you know, common, I guess, concerns with children in military families are frequent moving and the inability to form relationships, and then also trauma as a result of deployments. And so it's a little bit more of a, I guess, hidden sort of concern for us because our children will be children of reservists or National Guard members. And so those, like, there's not, you know, they're not going to Fort Leonard Wood every day. And so they don't have to just come out and say it. And so it's, you know, it's something that we're going to have to be more proactive about. We had some folks come out from Scott Air Force Base. They provided a training to representatives from each building. Those folks will be going to each of their buildings at this next PD day on Monday to share that training with them, so that, you know, entire buildings are made aware. You know, obviously, like, so many of these requirements were easy because we do them already. You know, having military friendly events, you know, like there's going to be a bunch of Veterans Day assemblies tomorrow that's going to check that box for a lot of schools. I don't see any reason why the district and every single school in our district won't be considered a Purple Star winner. And so one of the final pieces of that is a resolution signed by everyone on the board. And so, you know, you have the text there, but basically it just states that, you know, the board recognizes the fact that military children face unusual, I guess, hardships, and that we want to support them. And so we'll have those liaisons in every building ready to help them and families as they move in or move out, and basically just authorizes us to have those liaisons, and that we're going to have that dedication to those families.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a while back that I saw that Governor Parsons had talked about this, and when I contacted Dr. Klingesmith, I just floated it out there. I thought that this was an amazing thing, and it seems to align, like you were saying, with so much of what our community and what our schools are already doing. And it's one thing for a board member to float something out there. It's another thing for you guys to do all of the work to make it happen. And so thank you so much for pursuing this. It means a lot to me, and I know that, like you said, tomorrow there's going to be some pretty amazing assemblies going on, even at the high school, doing a whole choir concert. And I think that it's important for the military families to know that even if their time here is short, like if they're moving around and they're just in Warrenton for a time, that they're wanted and that they're welcome, and that we're here to support them. And so I just really appreciate all that you've done, and our the liaisons that have gone through the professional development. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hopefully in January, I'll have some good news to share. That's when we'll know.
Good deal.
I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution as presented.
Oh,
Who seconded it?
I'm gonna give
Well, I'll
Deanna.
second it.
Everybody was second.
Everybody seconded it, but we're gonna say it was Deanna.
Deanna, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sorry.
Any further discussion, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution is passed. We all have to sign that. That means nobody can run out without a signature tonight. It's not just me and. Yeah.
We'll pass it around right now so we can.
Okay. We have no policy first reads?
No policies this month.
Okay. So we are all down to miscellaneous, and the first thing is celebrations. Who wants to go?
Well, I've got a celebration of former Representative Jeff Porter championed the bill to get Missouri to be state funded for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which went live yesterday. So Jeff's leadership, Jeff City, to get that done for every child from birth to 5 years old gets a book every month, paid for by the state of Missouri. It's just a wonderful thing. And I think great work by our former state representative who led that charge. So appreciate that very much.
We're gonna do a ribbon cutting ceremony. Is that next week?
And Wednesday.
It's on the
Wednesday?
15th.
15th, whatever day that is. Yes,
Right?
15th,
It's
15th.
Wednesday.
For the new food service building, so I
Yep.
think that we should celebrate that, cause that's been in the works for a while.
They will be using kitchen shears.
All right. I hope some
Which
of
I
you
love.
can be there, some of the rest of the board. And then we had, 3 cross-country runners go to state, we had a golfer go to state, we had, of course, the football team is playing again tomorrow night, and so I think we've had a lot of success in our sports programs, and that's always great to see. The band did well at their last, competition, thanks, Rich, I couldn't come up with it.
I have one celebration, not really a celebration, but I want to just say a super thank you. I don't think people realize how much Miss Lucy Swales does for us here at our school district, but and I always give her a shout out at this time because I know how much we got to go to this school board convention this past week, and we enjoyed our time together. We learned a lot, but it makes it so easy for when we get there. We have to do nothing because of Miss Lucy Swales. And I just want to especially say thank you for all you do behind the scenes that makes it so easy for the rest of us. And so super kudos to you, sweetheart. Thank you.
Well, and Sarah and I each threw something at her kind of at the last minute today, and she just handled it like that. It was
And you
all
two are good at that.
So-
For the record.
We're always thinking, we're always.
Anybody else? All right, next topic is November 30th workshop topics.
Yes, I have one here listed. I'd just like to get kind of started on negotiations, conversation a little bit about kind of where we feel on things are going to be. So I'd like to have a little closed session on negotiations, just talk briefly about that. And then there'll be some personnel issues I'm sure we'll want to talk about.
Right. Anything else? That should take care of that. All right,
5 o'clock start time, still good?
5 o'clock, is that okay with everybody? That's what we usually do for,
Is that on the?
The 30th.
it is the 30th. But it,
Ooh.
It's in 3 weeks.
right, because it's after Thanksgiving.
We're starting at 5 o'clock.
That works for everybody.
Can you all manage that? Okay, Jeff and Deanna and Carolyn are the ones who I'm most worried about.
I'm good.
Okay, all right, and so we need to set the next regular board meeting.
I make a motion to set the next regular board meeting for December 13th, 2023.
I second.
She got the right year that time.
Yes.
I was slow.
I knew you were reading that really close.
There's been a motion and a second to set the next regular board meeting for December 14, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Motion to set the next closed session.
I make a motion to set the next closed Board of Education to immediately precede the regular board meeting on December 14th, 2023.
Thank you, Carolyn.
I'll second.
And thank you, Jeff. All those in favor, set the next closed session for immediately preceding the next regular board meeting on December 14th. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I didn't ask for that. I didn't recognize
I
you.
was watching.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
I was like watching your leave.
Miss Dan? Hey.
Want to make sure you got Beat Ridge before that one? You want to make sure you got
So,
Beat Ridge
Dr. K, I want you to hear this too, so, not that I was being rude, but